And we're live. Hello and welcome to the fourth episode of the Yoie and Jordi Podcast. I'm Jordi.
Yoie.
And in this episode, are political parties a waste of time?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. Well, we've seen the midterm sort of just finish up. Obviously, the mail-in ballots or whatever are still going in. So there might be a change in result, but it seems to be clear. It's like, I said in the Senate House, it was like 50 Democrat, 49 Republican. So it's basically just dead in the middle. This whole red wave didn't really amount to much of anything at all. Like, I think it just comes down to both political parties don't really have any real answers. And it's like the red wave, it's like, yeah, sort of people are sort of pushing back against wokeness, like we've kind of talked about. It definitely is true, you can do that, but still, they're not like getting everyone to vote for them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because I think that like just because you're pushing back against wokeness doesn't change their like people's view of your entire political party.
Yeah.
So like, let's say if you're a Democrat and you hate woke people, doesn't mean you're going to vote Republican.
No, because let's not forget, Republicans, you like look at these people, these are just like the biggest losers you could imagine.
Yeah.
Mostly.
Well, like a lot of like older Christian, extreme capitalist kind of people.
Yeah.
Of Republicans. Not that like liberal is much different, but people aren't just going to like jump teams straight away because they did something they didn't like.
No, exactly. It's like I seen this tweet on obviously Twitter, and someone was saying, oh, so Biden's approval rating isn't really that low, something like along those lines. And it's like it shows such a lack of understanding on how they think of the political system over there. It's fucking football, you know what I mean? Yeah, everyone hates Biden, but they're not going to change team. They go for the team. They don't even care really hardly about the policy. It's more about like what sort of vibe they have in society, you know what I mean? These people want to be known as progressive. They're not going to all of a sudden change.
Yeah, because really depending on who you hang around in your social circle, like Republican or Democrat are dirty words. Either Republican is, oh, that's a good thing, yeah, he's fucking patriot, or it's a racist, fucking all this other shit. And the same goes for like liberal or Democrat.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like they can either be dirty or good words. Either way, that's not gonna change because of one midterm election and all this pushback against woke culture.
Yeah, because I still think I'm not going to go back and say woke culture is still. I think that's definitely getting pushed back on. Like, absolutely, whether that's just down in you just watch comedy or some shit like that. It's like that everyone's happy to go for that now, whereas before it was like everyone's really scared and stuff like that. Did you see the Chappelle thing? That was pretty funny.
Recently?
Yeah.
Oh, what happened?
Yeah, you haven't seen it?
I actually have not seen it.
True, yeah, he was talking about obviously all this Kanye thing, and he goes, I'll just explain it for anyone who hasn't heard, it's pretty funny. Chappelle goes, I'm going to butcher it, but basically you see a bunch of black people, that's a gang. You see a bunch of Italians, that's the mob. You see a bunch of Jews, that's a conspiracy and you're not allowed to talk about it. I mean, no, a conspiracy, a coincidence. A coincidence, yes, I butchered it. But yeah, like that was pretty funny, but it's like even him saying that, he's not massively political. I suppose he is a little bit, but he's allowed to say that. Yeah,
it's like comedians, social commentators, really. But,
yeah.
That actually is pretty funny. What I've found actually is a lot of the comedians that I used to like, I'll give an example, but like they are the ones that wouldn't really push back on woke culture that hard and still aren't. Like Bill Burr. Love Bill Burr. He has like great like women jokes and all this shit. He has great jokes. But his jokes now aren't as I don't know the word I'd use for it, but they aren't as like
edgy. I don't know.
Edgy would be a good word because he seems to be like at the end or the start of his jokes. Oh yes, women are right. They're this, but then he'll say his take.
Yeah.
So he'll apologise, not apologise, but he'll almost hint that he's the bad guy for being a white guy at the start.
He does. He's gone so soft.
Yeah, I think it. Theory. I think it's his wife.
Yeah,
But-
I mean, yeah, it seems like he's definitely influenced in that by her. Like just even when he mentions her in a story.
Yeah, you should on his podcast too. It's kind of funny because it
Yeah.
seems like I don't want to get too. I don't watch his podcast that much because he talks so much about sports. Don't really care about American sports or Australian sports that much that I'd listen to a podcast about it. But his wife seems very unapproving
Yeah.
of like his what used to be his edgy comedy. So
Yeah.
now it seems like he's pulled back on that.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just he's like gotten old, but I was really surprised because he used to be quite. I mean, he's still funny sometimes, but I
Oh,
almost can't
definitely.
watch him now because of it. He's just like. I can't vaguely remember him talking something about Elvis and how he liked Elvis, and then his wife's like does that face like, oh, he appropriated that from fucking
Yeah.
black culture or something. It's like, fucking get real. You know what I mean? It's like the whole argument of like cultural appropriation. If you actually say that nonsense, like seriously, you should go and live on an island by yourself.
Yeah, no, I've never gotten that. Like, when I was like a kid, it was like, oh, Australia being like a multicultural, like country was like a good thing, and like we all fucking live with every other culture and we share things and all that.
Yeah,
But now it's like you fucking stay to your own.
yeah,
And look, if he has dreads, you're not allowed to fucking have dreads, you know?
yeah.
And it's just like, when did this whole thing become about, oh, fucking stay to your own, don't fucking indulge in other people's cultures?
Yeah,
Like,
it's just
I'm-
ridiculous.
Yeah, like, I can't fucking have spices on my food, salt and pepper, like, till the day I die.
Yeah.
It's just a bit fucking... It's like, I feel like that's racist, really, compared to...
Fucking oath it is, and it's just ridiculous. Like all of humanity is like adopting practices and things from different groups that are, that it's good. You know what I mean? If someone invents a calculator, as if you're not going to use that. It's just like, what do you just? It's just retarded. It's like you're having IPs or you know what I mean, like copyright.
Yeah. Yeah, like copywriting culture.
Yeah. And it's just how's this person annoyed as it's vacuum?
Fucking vacuuming right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, no, I can't remember.
Cultural appropriation.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous. Oh yeah, well that's what I was talking about. Bill Burr, you were talking about and stuff like that.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
well,
he has gone so soft.
yeah, and I lose respect for those people that were edgy and now are pulling back just at the time when like all this woke shit's kind of dying, and they're like still like scared to say something.
Yeah,
Is what it feels like. Maybe he isn't. Maybe that's just how he feels. But it feels like he's scared to say what he really thinks because of the backlash he'll receive. Even though the praise he'll get will outweigh that majorly.
yeah, and it's like I'll probably say memes of it and stuff. But it's like, how bad do you have to fuck up to all of a sudden turn into this weird white knight fucking woke person? It's like, you must have done something fucked up. Can't make a joke about sex anymore because someone's going to fucking dob you in for raping them or something like that. That's what goes through my head. I don't think Bill Burr fucking raped someone, but...
Yeah, Bill Burr, rapist.
Yeah.
Podcast episode title.
Yeah, I don't think that, but I'm very surprised by him in particular. Because I used to love him so much back in the day. Not because he was anti-woke or some shit, but just because he would say something funny without being like, oh, I'm evil because I'm white. It's like, mate, did I fucking come here and kill all the Aboriginals? No. Did my dad? No. It's like, when people talk about white people haven't been in power or whatever like that, it's like, in every society, you got like 0.001% of the population actually has any meaningful influence over government or something like that. Like, if you don't have $1 billion, you're not fucking influencing government.
No, definitely not.
So it's like you're going to blame the majority that were just poor fucking workers.
Yeah, I never got that. They say like, but they benefit from the power structure. And like, in what way?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like we're like the peasants in like Russia in like the early 19th century fucking benefiting. Like, it's like, no, they were pretty fucking shit off.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, even today, it's like, how am I benefiting from this? It's like, they'll say, oh, but you're not scared of cops. It's like, mate, I'm scared. I drive a car, mate. You think they pull up behind me and I'm like, oh, I'm safe, I'm white.
Yeah.
No, it's like they're going to pull me over and fine me for something, man. I don't have the money to fucking pay that off.
Yeah, exactly. I remember actually something funny. As one of our mates owns a fucking BMW, and Jordi was especially homeless looking at the time with his grotty ass beard that he's kind of got now.
Yeah, grotty beard, no job, looking pretty top tier. And I pulled up at like a server, and the cops pulled up as I was leaving, and I've gone. And they didn't even like get the petrol they were fucking stopping to get. Yeah. They just followed me out, and I parked at like the grocery store, Woolworths, and they just turned their lights on, came up to me, and I got out of the car, and they were just talking to me, made me do a breatho, and I was high as fuck at the time as well, so I was like fucking freaking out. Oh, I've lost my license. Here goes my life. But yeah, and like they were just talking to me. All breatho came clear. They're like, oh yeah, you can go. I was like, oh yeah, cheers for that. Why'd I get pulled over anyway? And he said, oh, you just didn't look like you should be driving a BMW. So it's like, I just got profiled just there. They saw how I looked and pulled me over.
Yeah.
But I live in Australia and we're a white culture, so I'm privileged and not scared of. They just pulled me over for how I look.
Yeah, exactly. Like the whole idea of this white privilege and shit like that, and that's like, this is going into like the parties. Are they a waste of time? You got Democrats and like this is what they're talking about, white privilege, and it's like, and you can tell this is such something for like university people, to like it appeals to them because they live in a world. I'm not saying they're all privileged or whatever, but like, because I don't believe in that bullshit ever. I think there's class privilege. If you have wealth, you have privilege. Essentially, LeBron James' son is going to be far more likely to succeed than I ever will. Oh, it's like LeBron James. It's like, yeah, that's a perfect example of how class or wealth is way more relevant than skin colour. But, yeah, I know. So this is something like the Democrats want to talk about, and it's like, it has no bearing on reality in any sense. And then you got all the right-wingers. They kind of go on the whole pull yourself up by your bootstraps type mentality. And it's like, they're not acknowledging the wealth side of privilege. I hate that word. But like just how much of an advantage that gives you.
Well, like when I think of it like that, like the privilege kind of way, it's like if I'm speeding and I get a fine, I'm probably not going to be able to pay that off straight away. Whereas someone who has money, like, they're basically paying to just speed, whereas it's going to ruin my life if I do that. Whereas they can just do that and keep paying the fines because it doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah.
So it's like, there is that, I don't know, but like there is that kind of privilege that comes with having wealth. Like your life is secure, you're always going to have a home, you're always going to have this. And that has nothing to do with like race. It has more to do with just having money.
Yeah.
And like you could look into like, over generations, like people who are less privileged tend to be certain races, but it's like we've come so far from where that's at that it's like I don't see only poor black people and rich white people.
No,
it's like I see fucking a lot of black people driving way better cars than me.
Oh yeah,
wearing nice clothes.
I mean, they're all drug dealers, but
but no, yeah, it's this. There are so many people that are better off than me, and it's not because they're fucking whiter than me, is it?
No. The whole notion is retarded.
Yeah, definitely.
It's like you look at Australia or America or something like that, or even anywhere in Europe. What people originate there? Obviously America, Native Americans and here Aboriginals, but like the societies we live in today, they were colonised by white people. Or Europe, they were fucking literally white people there from the beginning, or, since 10,000 years ago or whatever. It's like, so the whole society was, this multicultural world that we live in now is like a lot more possible in the last few hundred years, you know what I mean? With planes and big shipping and all that sort of stuff. It's beyond obvious that the people that originated there are most likely going to be the wealthier ones. You know what I mean? It's like capitalism, which is leads the world now, that was founded in a predominantly white area. And it's a game that is, first in, first served in a way, you know what I'm saying? Like, the rich stay rich, the poor stay poor. the rich people are originally going to be white because that's where it kind of founded or originated, it'd be surprising if most of them were black. You know what I mean? It wouldn't really. You'd be like, what? How did that happen?
Just even how geographically like powers like world powers kind of grew. Like they grew in Europe.
Yeah.
In like Central Europe, you know, it's like that's not going to be Africa. That would be a big reason why they're poorer there.
Yeah.
Because that's not where like the current like modern civilization really grew from. Like the world dominant culture that we live in didn't come from there. It came from Europe, and then it went to America and Australia and fucking everywhere else. So that's why you'd probably see that those kind of ethnicities are the richest.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, and it shows how now over time, obviously America had slavery and things like that, and those rules where, you know, black people, like, there's no legal rules in there now where it says black people have to have it worse, or like they don't have legal rights or anything like that. But
even this, I was looking at, like, and you're talking in terms of like privilege, and depending on how you look at privilege, it can be different. But I'm like the statistics on like races that go to further education in America, at least. At the top, you have like Asian and Indian.
Yeah.
I can't remember which one goes first, but it's Asian and Indian, and then black people, and then white people.
Yeah.
So like, is this like a positive, like, oh, white people are so privileged, but they're the least likely to go on to further education, or like, you know what I mean? It's like, wouldn't, if they were so privileged above like black people and other minorities, they would be the leading people in these universities?
Yeah, exactly. And then, well, there's a big cultural thing like that. You like meet Asian and people and stuff like that. They're very like study. Not all of them.
Well, it's like a stereotype of like the Asian gets like straight A's and it's not good enough.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, of course, they, like, that comes from like them obviously being very study focused and education focused.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing as well. This is like that affirmative action, which is starting to push Asians out as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because they obviously getting in at higher rates than you know, proportionate for like how the percentage of their country or whatever. And this is affirmative action that the Democrats do, which is like racist in itself, to like push white people out and stuff like that, or even now you're seeing
push out
men
people
get
that are
pushed
qualified for someone else that might be less qualified but is a certain race.
Yeah.
Is like, yeah, it's like under the guise of doing good for that race, but also it's doing bad by people that are more qualified to do something.
Yeah. And you're looking at a whole country. I've talked more about America because it's way more relevant anyway, but...
Well, like we've said before, Australian culture is pretty much America 6 months to a year ago.
Yeah, and it's starting to speed up. I was listening to I don't know, Shane Gillis podcast or something, and he said he had a mate over from Australia or something like that, and you know, he couldn't believe all the black people on ads and all that. You know how it's circle jerks, and it's like that cunt was full of shit because he was probably trying to, you know, exaggerate a little bit at how Australia's different to America. And Shane said something like, "Oh, just wait a couple of years or something." It's like, no, that's happening already.
Yeah,
that's been happening for a long time.
Yeah, very much has been happening for a long time. Like it, maybe if we went back 5 years, that wasn't happening.
Yeah,
but it's been definitely, you know, going in hyper speed. Like so much of today's culture is fucking just coming from America, and we're just like there's a fucking Black Lives Matter sticker on a wall down the street, and it doesn't make sense because we don't have like this big African population or black population. They're like we have. We didn't
have slavery here. I don't believe.
Well, we didn't have. Oh, we did have segregation as well.
We did have segregation.
Yeah, so we did have these things, but it's been a long time since. And like, even like we're gonna talk about the wage gap as well. It's like there hasn't been a law I don't think there's ever been a law that's saying you have to pay black people or women less. You know what I mean? That isn't a thing. No. So like, why are we here? Like, I think we've talked about the black square on maybe first episode. Like people are posting the black square on Instagram, like people I know. It's like, why are we doing this?
Yeah,
because there's no relevance to our actual like culture or political system.
Yeah, Well, yeah, it's all copied. I mean, it's like a weird, like, because it's like the Black Lives Matter protests, they did have them here, but they were like Aboriginal Lives Matter. So that'd be like equivalent to Native American Lives Matter. It's pretty similar, the sort of whole situation with them. Yeah, yeah, it's like we have a very, like, it's like you don't really have Native American ones in America. Like, yes, obviously there's shit going on there. It's not that great. But it's like they didn't have Native American Lives Matter because it's such a small percentage of the population.
Yeah, no, true.
And you know what I mean, though.
No, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, and like these are things. Yeah, we're talking about like these are Democrat sort of strategies for like you know, these are the political talking points that they're all doing, and like that's not gonna, like the Aboriginal Lives Matter thing is not gonna doesn't affect me or anyone I know, or like I don't just hang out with white people, you know what I mean? It's like never anyone I've really met is that have any effect.
What is that even trying to change, really? Like,
exactly.
if we were going, like even the Black Lives Matter protest in America, just found out that it was pretty much some giant scam.
Oh yeah,
and
that's
like
so obvious.
The money people were donating didn't really go to fucking black people.
No.
It really went to one of like the heads of like the whole organisation into buying a few mansions.
Yeah, and like gated communities.
Yeah. So it's like, how did that help them? Why were people still preaching this? Why is this sticker there when it was found out to be the biggest fucking scam and rort? You know, it doesn't make sense.
Well, yeah, exactly. But the thing is, it's got such perfectly worded name. You know what I mean? Black Lives Matter. If you're an idiot and you can't take someone for context of what they're saying, you say, "Oh, I don't believe in that." Oh, that means you think black people don't deserve to live. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, true. It's easy to make anyone that objects to it racist.
And if I go, okay, what does it actually achieve? What does it do? It's so vague. It's so vague, but conveys so much like of a point, black people's lives, that, you know, it's perfect for marketing. You had it on the walls of banks and things like that. They're spreading it. It's like, if they're spreading it, you know it's not ever trying to do anything good.
Yeah. No, it's like, it's like we've talked about before, like Pride Month, they all changed their emblem because it's like it fits the culture, but they're not actually doing anything.
No.
I'm sure like whatever country, like I can't remember which country is it that where there was like bombs going off there. It could be fucking, I can't remember.
What do you mean, like in the Middle East?
In the Middle East. Like,
Yemen?
Yeah, Yemen. Like, we're still like, there's bombs being dropped there. Banks that are funding them would have said Black Lives Matters. Yeah. While killing black lives.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, they don't give a fuck. They just want people to stay off their back.
Yeah, it's like, right in front of that actual mural for the Black Lives Matter thing. The cringiest thing ever, but there's a post box. Australia Post is a government issued post box, you know what I mean? And it's got the bloody trans flag on it. And it's like, the idea that this is some sort of radical revolutionary fucking movement, Trans Lives Matter, and it comes fucking literally painted on the government issued post box.
You're not going to believe something I saw actually. It's I was driving home from work and I was getting passed by a tram. The tram was painted in like LGBTQ fucking flag, and on the side of it said like, "We accept all," and it was like in like the messaging, or like, everyone can ride here kind of thing. Yeah, it's like, oh, they're allowing gay people to ride the tram. It's like, will they ever not allowed on this tram? It's like, why is the tram trying to be like a gay activist here?
Yeah, well, it gets ridiculous. But yeah, there's so much shit like that. Like, you go walk past where we live, it's kind of like a bit of a... I mean, Melbourne in itself is very woke. You know what I mean? But like, we walk past shops and stuff like that and it says we accept, like LGBT stuff like that as well. It's like
cafes and shit have that like, poster.
Yeah, exactly, that sort of shit. Same as the tram. It's like, obviously.
It's like,
You'll want money.
Yeah,
why would you turn away money from for someone that wants to buy an earring because they're gay?
Yeah, that's bad for business.
It's just bad for business.
It's like, your business wouldn't survive. It's like, do you see the ones that don't have that sticker saying, "Oh, we fucking hate them"? Yeah. It's like, that's not what the ones that don't have it are saying. So why are you trying to fucking say that?
Yeah. So what basically all it comes down to for like Democrats and I'll speak about Democrats for now, but it's all like this virtue signalling wokeness. Oh, that's such a cliche sort of sentence, but like meaningless posturing without actual anything to go with it, you know what I mean? So I talked about before, like something that I'll like, obviously that is, I'm not going to say this is what I think of, how I think political ideology or action should be. I don't think healthcare or something is the end all, or even, I mean, you go to America, yes, I think that they should have healthcare, but that's a thing that will help people. That's like there's no needless slogan like, oh, people's lives matter or some shit like that. It's like, you know, healthcare benefits people. You know, it's not just slogans or something like that. That's something simple, but you don't see that really. I mean, yeah, people sort of posturing. You had Obamacare, which is just like a little scheme to get people to buy into insurance company stuff. And it's like meaningless stuff from the Democrats.
Yeah. Well, it is kind of like most political parties, especially like liberals, are kind of virtue signalling.
Yeah.
Like, except in like an overly progressive kind of way. It's like, oh, we are the righteous, we accept everyone. And they want that kind of virtue signalling, whereas the right wants patriotic kind of virtue signalling. Like, oh, we love America, we love this. And it's like, they're not being anti-gay, but it's a different kind of virtue signalling.
Oh, definitely.
Like, they would see someone as anti-American, like a liberal would see like an anti-trans person.
Yeah, definitely.
It's like, that's their equivalent of each other, you know? They're both virtue signalling, but just about different things.
Yeah, exactly. And once again, it's meaningless in a sense that like Australian lives matter. It's like, oh, Black lives matter. That doesn't do anything. It's all just a scheme to siphon money away to whichever corporation or whoever wants to, you know, use it as part of their image. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, Republicans, fuck me, they're ridiculous with the whole patriotic thing. It's like, if you think a Republican is trying to help the American citizen, you're an idiot, really. No, you know what I mean? It's like, these people are clearly just money grabbing people, you know what I mean? It's like, you ever hear our right wing, they just want to privatise. Like, that's essentially what liberals are. They want to privatise it. And why would they want to privatise industry? It's not because it provides better. I mean, fuck, sure, sometimes a private hospital is absolutely going to give you better care than a public hospital, but they're doing it because they want to, you know, there's business interests that they could take over that role.
Well, yeah, it's in like private industry's interests for public interests to be bad.
Yeah.
Like, it's good for private schools to be really good.
Yeah.
And it's bad for private schools if public schools are really good.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's like, it serves that kind of interest. Like, oh yeah, you could send your kids to public school and they'll be dumb as dog shit.
Yeah.
Or you send them to private school, pay someone more money, and they'll be a bit better off.
Yeah.
So it's just like how that private sector is like, in a lot of cases, it doesn't operate more efficiently.
Yeah.
But it's almost by design that public infrastructure operates inefficiently.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, well, that's a big thing over here. See, I know a little bit more, like in Australia. Mainly I know about American politics, or talk about that. But that's what essentially the Australian right wing does here. They massively underfund public services. It gets called out as shit because they've been underfunded. I mean, obviously the government is useless at handling things because there's always people siphoning off and doing shit like that. But I'd rather have public hospital than not. I mean, fuck me.
Yeah, there was actually a recent like scandal of like the New South Wales like premier or something. They're like, either way, she was like having an affair with this like big banker, rich guy, and she was selling property to him for a cheaper price than like what it was worth. Yeah, and like that was the scandal. And I've heard people like defending her, being like, "Oh no, it's sexist. Like, a woman can't have an affair." It's like, the affair wasn't the scandal. It's that she was giving away property to this guy for cheaper than what it's worth. Yeah. That's the scandal, not woman has an affair in Parliament.
Yeah, it's weird how they tried to twist it like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm surprised that, what's her name, Pelosi didn't try and pull that move, because she was giving you know, she was giving out, you know, that story. Her husband is like an investor or something.
Yeah.
And obviously they've turned, you know, a $200,000 wage or whatever that she's getting. She's now worth $200 million because she's the Speaker of the House. She can easily say
everything she touches turns to gold.
Yeah.
Or she's using insider information to gamble on like the economy.
Yeah. That comes down to the thing where it's like if you're really relying on political parties, like we talked about a little bit last week, how government and the parties essentially just exist to maintain the system as it's functioning. They're not really there to change it or anything like that, not majorly. So it's like, yes, if you're after a significant change, I mean, like what I care about, like what 99% of people care about, is like you basically work to survive. So what matters is wages and all this sort of shit like that.
Yeah. It's like access to like actual like sustainable, like not sustainable in an environmental sense, but like your life is sustainable. Like you can keep going, you know you'll be all right next week because you're getting that pay in or whatever. That's what people care about.
Yeah.
They care about keeping themselves secure.
Yeah, secure. And it's like the parties aren't going to really change that sort of thing. It's good for capitalism to basically have a pretty like not well off working class, you know what I mean? Like, sure, there's good reasons to have them sort of educated because then you can advance in industries and maybe get a leg up on other countries and stuff like that. But also, they don't want you to be in a position where you're secure.
Yeah, they never want you to have enough that you don't need to work.
No.
So they're gonna need you to work a certain amount, and that requires you to fucking have it pretty shit that you have to work 48-hour weeks, 50-hour weeks. So like the working hour week like has increased from what it used to be.
Yeah.
And like that's good for like capitalists and shit because they want more people to work because I can't really know where I'm going, but like to secure like what we would have had 50 years ago, you need to work harder now.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's not because it's more scarce and things are getting scarcer. It's just because like we can do more with our time now. You know, like in what we could produce in 10 hours before, we can produce so much more than that now in 10 hours.
Yeah.
Because of like technological advancements. But we still need to keep everyone doing shit.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, I don't think everyone should, like, the idea is not everyone to not work. I mean, in a sense it is at a certain point in time. I mean, but we're not at that point yet.
Way future.
Yeah, absolutely way in the future. But like, there's no reason you should be working harder to just, or for longer, just to have a house.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Just to secure like your life for the week.
No.
And then I'll have to do it all again like next week to just keep the same level of shit that I have now.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the shit I do, it only benefits me as it keeps me alive.
Yeah.
Keeps me housed, and that's all it really does for me.
Yeah, and it's like the political parties, they're not interested in any change that's going to have a big impact like that. Like, I don't even know really. It's just like it's like you basically vote to spite the people that you disagree with culturally. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't think I've ever met someone that really thought like it was going to be such a great change when nameless politician gets voted in.
Yeah.
Like it's more like,
I mean, you had the Trump sort of thing.
Yeah, no, there was a bit of that. Maybe America's a bit. Well, I'm more thinking of an Australian context, but in like America, yeah, they have that hope, I guess, that things will change. But I think for the majority of the population, because there will be like the hardcore MAGA people thought he was going to save the world, but like
release the kids from tunnels.
The kids from tunnels, yeah. But I think the average bloke doesn't really think it's going to change much.
No, people say apathetic as well.
No, it's the good word for it. I was thinking of that before. Like it is like an apathetic way of looking at the whole political system because it's like it'll just go on. It doesn't matter. You know, and that's why my opinions on like the midterm elections, it doesn't really matter. It's just showing like where things are socially to me.
Yeah.
And like how people still are in their tribes. They still love their certain team. That's how it's pretty much going to be.
Yeah.
But ultimately it's not really fucking changing much. Things are going to stay relatively the same. Maybe they'll say different things when they go to like make a speech, but that's it.
Yeah, and that's what I think. I mean, for me, I definitely want a very large change to society and how it operates. I think how we live now is incredibly boring. You know what I mean? You look at whether it's art or anything like that. Look at the movies, mate. Look at Marvel and shit like that. Why is that where all the money... I mean, movies are obviously not the only form of art, but why is all the money that goes to that making these completely bland... I mean, fuck, if you like Marvel, I mean, maybe you could like it if you have kids or something. That's what it is. It's a children's movie.
No, well, I think I've seen, like, this is, like, how I would... Like, from me, my perspective on it is how capitalism is, like, destroying art. In the sense of, like, movies, for example, is, like, movie studios will make movies that will turn profits now. So, like, what's more guaranteed to turn a profit? The 6 millionth fucking Spider-Man remake?
Yeah.
Or some random movie never been made before. It's just like they're going to try something new.
Yeah.
That fucking Spider-Man remake is going to make a certain amount of money. So it's a safe bet. And capitalism always will go for like a good profit.
Yeah.
Over than trying to be like innovative in cinema or whatever.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's because like cinema is obviously, or movies are like, you know, they're not new anymore. You know, like how long have they exist? Probably 100 years now. You know, almost. I don't really know.
Yeah.
I'm not a massive movie person at all, really. I mean, everyone likes a movie occasionally, but they probably advanced to that point now where they go, oh, being innovative isn't really, it's risky. As you're saying, you go the safe, profit-driven route, and it's like. So I think. Obviously, art isn't, or just movies isn't the whole reason I want a massive societal change.
No, obviously.
I think anything, it's like to live in just on this treadmill of work 40 hours, pay your rent, buy a few drinks on the weekend, start again next week, do the same thing ever again. This is an exceptionally boring life, and it's like how anyone like what gives me sort of like hope and like I'm not depressed in any way, you know what I mean, but like what gives me hope is because I have a passion that I think things will change in the future, and I think like because if I thought this was how it was meant to be, you know what I'm saying, like this is how you're meant to live, this is how it is, that's how life works, there's nothing else to it. How the fuck could you do that?
Mate, I don't know how you could do that.
Let's go watch the NBA and watch fucking 3/4 a commercial and then a little bit of someone dribbling the ball around. I mean, I love playing basketball. I do play basketball. Not crazy, but I have a team.
Watching the NBA is not something to live for.
God, no. Just like anything.
Yeah, well, it's like what a big thing, like, the boring dystopia that we live in. It's just that everything is so mundane and boring.
Yeah, it's not like this hellish dystopia.
No, yeah, it's like how like they had those ideas like Brave New World, everyone's on drugs to make them think that the world's good, or like 1984 where it's like all really big oppressive government fucking telling you not to do shit and you can only do this. It's not like that. It's just, what's Kim Kardashian doing?
Yeah.
And it's like, who gives a fuck, man?
Yeah.
And it's like, that's pretty much the whole culture, the whole society. It's just caring about the most mundane, boring shit.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's like politics and news, and it's like, if I ever tell anyone I'm in like politics, or it's like they think that you mean you like, you know, following Republicans and Democrats and shit like that. That shit is boring as fuck, you know what I mean? If you like avidly support Republicans or Democrats, I think you're kind of an idiot.
Yeah, you've definitely taken some sort of bait.
Yeah, because it's like, it's not interesting. They're not. I reckon when money becomes the only thing, it's like you see people selling out. It's like selling out today is like, back in the day, you could call it a sellout, you know what I mean? It was derogatory, or it was meant to criticise you as being a douche. Now it's like you see people being like, oh, get that bag and shit like that. And it's like, I think there's more to life than that, or there could be more to that. like when someone actually has passion for what they're doing or something like that, that's so much more interesting.
Mm.
And it's like,
what I think is actually like on the train of like this talking about like capitalism and stuff. It's I feel like in some ways it's like certain like political movements or social movements have actually been affected by capitalism. And like one example I have is like the feminist movement.
yeah,
Like early days in the feminist movement, it was pretty common for feminists to be anti like being a stripper,
yeah,
being all these like OnlyFans, selling your body.
mm.
It was more like women aren't like they're supposed to be heard, not just seen.
yeah.
From now today, where it's fucking get an OnlyFans, be a stripper, be a fucking prostitute, be a whore,
Yeah,
and it's like sell your body. It's like really what's happening is it's become women sell your body to the highest bidder.
Yeah,
And is that like feminism, or is that just capitalism telling women that you sell your bodies now because it's good for fucking money?
yeah, exactly.
So I feel like in some ways, like you could see that feminism is poisoned by like the actual like how the social structures work.
Well, absolutely.
But everything I would say is affected by it. But like even like movements that would be seen as good, like women deserve rights, even that can be taken after 50 years or 100 years of that, it ends up here.
And that just shows the whole ineffectiveness of what feminism was. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Obviously, I don't think women should be. I don't think women should not be allowed to vote or some bullshit like that. I don't really give a shit about rights within the system that we live in now. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, but it just shows that any movement that focuses on a certain identity, say women, it's easily co-opted. You know what I mean? By the machine that is capitalism.
Mm. Yeah, no, it just becomes another like gear in the cog. Like how we saw Black Lives Matters, it just ended up profiting some fucking few people at the top.
Yeah.
And same with any other fucking movement that happens. It's
like patriotism is basically just give your money to the fucking military industry. That they're not there to help Americans. They're to waste poor Americans' lives in war. So corporations, obviously, it's not just steal oil or whatever. That's probably a massive part of it. But like whether it's
weapons manufacturers make money.
Yeah.
So it's you're not just going there for oil to make money off oil. You're going there so weapons manufacturers can sell fucking guns to the government.
Yeah, exactly.
They can sell like planes and bombs and all these things.
Yeah.
Like that's what is driving a lot of this like the armed conflict and shit. It's like that military industrial complex we've talked about, is that it's fucking good for profit.
Yeah, absolutely.
So like peace isn't good for profit.
No.
War is fucking amazing for profit.
Yeah. It's both.
Well, peaceful times are good for profit, but I think that war is better for profit.
Yeah, they seem to make a lot of money. And it seems to be like goes to a lot of it just goes hardly anyway. I mean, you get America with Afghanistan and shit like that, how much money in weapons and stuff like that, and it just got all left there. I mean, they're not spending it wisely.
No. Well, they don't really care about where it ends up.
Nah.
Because, like, the military obviously wasn't like, oh, fuck, we just lost billions and billions of dollars worth of, like, weapons and vehicles and all that. They obviously didn't give a fuck.
It wasn't that important.
No.
But obviously the money that obviously went to the weapons manufacturers was. Yeah. No.
Well, like, even look at Ukraine, how many billions of dollars they're getting globally from everywhere. Like here, Australia, like, is the biggest donating non-NATO member in the world.
Yeah, right, okay.
So, like, we've given them billions of dollars. I don't know how many billions all globally has given them, but it's been fuckloads. It's in the hundreds of billions.
Yeah.
So, it's like, was that happening in the Ukraine during peaceful times? You know, it's like,
yeah, definitely.
It's been good for the Ukraine, at least for the people that are getting a bite of this like pie. It's good for them to be at war because they're getting a bit of it.
Yeah.
Whereas I think there was like, I'm not too versed on this,
yeah,
I will say, but I have heard that Ukraine has apparently been laundering money through like cryptocurrencies. I'm not that versed on cryptocurrencies,
yeah,
but it's not surprising to me if that was actually what's been happening.
Yeah.
If a lot of the money, not even majority, even if a little part of it, a couple $1 billion here, when you're talking about hundreds of billions of dollars,
Yeah.
if a couple billions of dollars goes to like some guy fucking laundering money through this fucking weird little system,
Yeah.
that's not good. That's major corruption right there.
Oh, well, Ukraine was known for corruption a few years ago until they became the bastions of fucking justice and things like that.
Since when, like, I can't imagine anyone who was like, oh, you know, fucking that place just like to the left of Russia in Eastern Europe, you know how fucking politically non-corrupt they are there.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't think I've heard a soul talk about the Ukraine until like this whole fucking Ukraine invasion started. I never heard one of my friends, oh, fucking we should go to Ukraine, it's pretty good there.
No, exactly. You think you're going to get fucking killed or something.
Yeah. Well, it's like what people would think of like going to Russia, you know? It's like, oh, the mafia and the mob and
Yeah.
you got to
exactly.
watch out. It's like, I would think the same of the Ukraine.
Yeah, definitely. Just like poor. I mean, every country is corrupt, but like the poor ones are like crazily corrupt, you know what I mean?
Yeah, because money's worth more there.
Yeah, and it's just like people don't have money to do investigations and easily keep track of shit. The people there are literally like, I mean, I don't know as much about Ukraine, but poor countries in general, they're not fucking as much focused on politics.
When I say money's worth more there, I mean it's worth more to have money there. Like,
Oh, yeah.
in like if you have money in Ukraine, you can do a lot more shit.
Oh, yeah.
If you have a lot of money and you're in fucking Brazil, you can do a lot more shit.
Yeah.
And like I'm talking about like politically speaking, like you could pay off cops. Where right now, if I get pulled over and I hand the cop $500, he's not going to give a shit. He'll tell me to fucking get out of the vehicle and put my hands behind my back. If I go to Mexico and do that, he'll fucking let me go probably.
Yeah.
So like, that's what I mean when I say money is worth a lot more there because they fucking need it.
Yeah, definitely. I think this goes back to, it's just like if you think this world is going to be fixed with a slightly more a right-wing president or a left-wing president, it's like you are not seeing the picture for what it is. The world we live in is incredibly corrupt in every place, more glaringly obvious in those poor-ass countries. But it's like, I want to take it back to that because it's just like, this comes back to the whole thing of are the political parties a waste of time? It depends what you want, really, but like, for most young people, like the idea of the Australian dream, American dream, the classic George Carlin, you got to be asleep to believe it or whatever, you know what I mean? You do. You have to be completely brain dead. And to see that that's getting harder and shit, it's like, for a lot of people, like where I've said it before in our other episodes, it's like where we used to live in the country town sort of thing. You could be a tradie. I don't hate tradies, you're a fucking tradie. Or you could work in a fish and chip shop or something like that, you know what I mean? Which cut off. Lola, you pest.
Get out of here.
But it's like, we live in a world where we see what everyone else is up to. You see, or you go on Instagram, you see the rich people, they're on their yachts and they're doing this all the time, they're partying the whole time. The idea that you have to live your life as, you go and nail a few bits of wood together every day and then go home, watch Netflix, have a few drinks on the weekend and do it again next week. Not dissing on tradies or whatever you do for a job. I don't give a shit what someone does for a job. We live in the world that it is. But that's not something that, that's no hope in that.
Yeah, it's nothing to aspire to.
No, shit like that makes you want to just lay in bed and never get out of bed, you know what I mean? This is like depressing as fuck. And it's like, I think if you want anything more than that, if you want a word that's, and we are shitting on capitalism, that doesn't mean I support fucking China or fucking the Soviet Union or whatever. I would call myself a Marxist, I would. But that has a lot of other meaning as to opposed to what generally people would think. I'm not a uni student, I don't believe in, I do not support any sort of woke agenda and all. It's not, I actually don't mind Jordan Peterson sometimes, you know, when he's talking about some things. But it's not neo-Marxist. Marxism isn't just about oppression or anything like that. It's about commodity production and essentially how that divides us into classes and things, and the class struggle between. It's way more different, and it's not as simple as just fucking the government is in power. That's not what I want at all.
Yeah, no.
So I'm just going to disregard that for anyone who thinks that that's what we're saying that we want. We don't want just all the government controlling everything. No, that's not at all.
I think you'd have to be pretty dumb to watch this and go, "Oh, they want bigger government."
Yeah, well, exactly.
The whole point of the episode is political parties useless, because I personally think they are pretty fucking useless at solving problems, at least globally or even within their own borders.
Yeah, exactly, and that's why I'm getting at the thing. Where I think if you do have aspirations for a world that is actually not boring, it's not just soaked with Marvel videos and shitty commercials and corruption everywhere like that. There's a pretty common factor when you look at all of that. It's the money in politics, it's the money in fucking all this crap. It's just money, corruption, all that. That was terrible wording. But
I say if you want a society that socially is getting better and culturally is getting better, like the conditions that people live in are getting better, it's like, I don't know where you'd look for that, because it's not getting better in Australia.
No,
it's not getting better in America. There are more homeless people. The homeless tent cities are popping up. There's not massive tent cities I've seen in Australia, but I've seen tents start popping up.
They're starting to pop up here.
I live across from a park. There's now a couple tents that live in the park across from me. Yeah. I haven't seen those there the whole time I've been in Melbourne.
No,
they're starting to pop up.
Yeah, even our older brother, Lee Man, if you're watching this, he said he used to be homeless at a certain point, and he was walking around here with us, and he told me he's never seen it this bad. So it's like things are getting worse.
And maybe it's hard to see for a lot of people, but like if you look back at what they used to be, things are like, because like, if I didn't know anything and I was just walking around, I would have just always assumed it was like this.
Yeah.
But you know a little bit, and it's like things are getting fucking bad here. People are getting poorer and poorer. People aren't able to afford what they used to be able to afford.
Yeah, exactly. And then that goes, this is where I'll draw a fucking little analogy. Oh, not an analogy. Left and right wing thing here. See, Lee told me once when the homeless people back in the day, they were kind of kept to the parks or whatever. Now they're around here, they're just in the street drinking piss. I've seen blokes smoke bongs with police officers next to them. I've seen people smoking crack out the front of grocery stores. You know what I mean? And that probably goes back to the Democrats sort of idea. I know we're not Democrats or whatever here, but we still have the same left-right, basically. Yeah. Where they're going, obviously, I think there's problems with the homeless in the sense that they have mental issues. They probably come from very poor places, very shitty education, maybe parents that are not very good, obviously.
Yeah, alcoholic, drug addicts, abusive. Yeah, they've all these people that are having, like, you see, like, sorry to interrupt, but like, there's this crazy lady we live nearby. You walk past her, she'll fucking scream her head off at you.
Yeah.
And like, then you'll keep walking, you'll realise she wasn't screaming at you, she's screaming at nobody.
Yeah, exactly.
She's just screaming at the air. Well, this person is mentally ill, but like, I think where you were going with this is that like the Liberals, Democrats, what we have here, our version of those, will say that, it's a mental health crisis and they're all right.
Exactly. So that one, they're not solving the issue. They're just saying, this is how we talked about before. Instead of solving the issue, they're going, it exists for a reason. It's a good thing. Or not necessarily a good thing, but they don't solve it. They just say, it exists and you can't blame them for it.
Yeah.
Like obesity. Oh no, being obese is beautiful. This is what the vein I'm getting at, where that's that one option to deal with them. Or you go the right wing where it's like, just fuck them. I'm not saying they'll do this, but you hear just throw them in jail, or mate, I love he'll jokingly say, I hope someone just goes around and shoots them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, they're not looking at the thing where you go, alright, compared to the average wage, people are paying, you might have to do 3 hours as opposed to what you used to be able to afford with 1 or 1.5 or something like that. So it's like, you can't just shoot them all because they're propping up for a reason. You know what I'm saying? It's like, obviously, economically,
I actually have a good, like, example of, like, it's fine, they're not a problem, like, they exist. There's, this homeless guy that lives in, like, a park near us, and he lives in, like, a gazebo thing, and he's lived there for a really long time, and, there's, like, this Facebook group for the local area. I was just looking through it one day, and some woman was saying that, she was walking through it with her pram, and, this fucking homeless guy has come out of his gazebo that he's lived in the whole time I've been here. He's come out, like, showed her his dick, and just started, like, urinating everywhere. and this is like a young woman with her child in a pram, and she's in like, oh, what do we do about this? I'm scared to go to the park and walk. And people were calling her out, saying that she's a bad person for judging him.
Yeah,
he's in a bad position. And it's like, no, that's sex pesty, disgusting behaviour.
Yeah.
Who would want to have this guy that's just going to flash his dick to your child or like your missus in the park?
No.
That's fucking scary. That's like, I wouldn't want my missus
no.
walking through there by herself anymore.
Definitely not.
And but is that my problem and my prejudice?
No.
Or is that this is a fucking problem?
Exactly. It's become a point where you can't even point out the issue. And so you've got to acknowledge the issue. You're not saying, oh, this guy needs to be shot. But you're saying something has to be fucking done.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, a funny story. I was walking probably near that sort of place, walking down the street once. And usually it's blokes that are doing the weird shit like that. I seen this girl, fucking probably 50 years old, homeless woman. And she was flashing her fucking pussy to like these guys in front of us, and me and my missus. She was flashing her pussy, and I reckon I could smell it from fucking 20 metres away. Not even a joke.
Oh, fucking
Fucked. There's fucking nuts people around here.
Mm.
And I can't imagine what America's like.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, exactly. And these are your two options that you basically get through your parties that we have today. You have this woke virtue signalling. Oh, it's mental health. Yes, it's clearly mental health issues involved.
Mm.
But we're not going to do anything about it because you can't criticise them because, you know, they're being their authentic self.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're not going to say that,
They're
but
not
you know
going
what
to say
I'm
that,
saying.
but it's like, oh, they're down on their luck. You just got to fucking not disturb them. Whereas the right will be like, oh, lock them up for a week, and then they're back out there again anyway.
Yeah.
So like, neither of them are fucking solving this issue.
No, because they're not going to tackle the massive thing.
Mm. And with obviously like the cost of living crisis, this is just going to affect more and more people, and then more people are going to become like the people. Think of the people on the lowest level, like they just afford housing. Give it a year, they could be homeless.
Yeah.
Then there's more of these people that like living on the streets is not good for your mental health.
No.
Then they're going to get fucked up, and maybe potentially they're going to start doing these fucking crazy things as well.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's just going to get worse. There's going to be more of them, and there's no solutions being enacted. No one's helping them. This whole time I've lived here, there's been the crazy lady that we're talking about. She's been on that street the whole time.
Yeah.
She never moves. Like occasionally you won't see her for a few days, but that's the most. And then she's back there.
Yeah.
So like, there has to be a solution for this.
Yeah, and I mean, there's always going to be people that are kind of crazy. That's a given, probably. But like, I think it all comes down to wealth inequality and basically the siphoning off of resources from the vast majority to the wealthy. Obviously, there's going to be still crazy people. There's going to be people that have that, but it's like that money should be not. I don't think everyone should have equal money. That's not what I'm saying at all. But like, I went to school here, mate, and it is a joke. I can't imagine what it's like now at school. I mean, even when it was getting to that point where it's like people really didn't take it shit seriously anymore. You know what I mean? It was getting at that point. Especially, I think, phone, social media had a big impact on that. Because you weren't in this bubble of you just in this area. Now you kind of see in the whole world, you kind of get a picture of shit and you realise how ineffective it's like. A school kid doesn't look at the world, they're all on TikTok or whatever, and go, oh yeah, I want to be an accountant.
Yeah, it's kind of, everyone wants to be the next like sensation viral thing.
Yeah, I'm going to be a podcaster.
Yeah, but no, it's like what kid is out there going, oh, I'm going to study real hard and become this, when they can look at that and Logan Paul or
yeah, exactly.
Mr. Beast is just doing stupid shit online and making a gazillion fucking more than they'll ever make in their lifetime.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like bad for you, like diminishing. It's really making anyone that wants to do anything, it's like, don't do that, just be fucking the next pop trend fucking bullshit.
Yeah, so I think that's had a big effect on it. So, I mean, I've seen stats that, like, I think it was in Melbourne or Victoria or something, it's like the people that are now, you know, in high school reading at like a second grade level have gone, is dramatically risen You know what I mean? Because no one gives a fuck about school. So education system is failing and shit like that. And it's like, it's just so fucked in that regard. Like, and that's not going to be solved by throwing more money at it or something like that. It's like there's so much shit has to change.
Well, like we're seeing, like you throw money at it now and it doesn't help people. It just lines people's pockets.
Yeah.
Someone just gets rich from it while people still suffer. Their conditions get worse and worse, and then it's just like a cycle that keeps getting worse.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where we're stuck at today.
Yeah.
And I don't think a political party is going to fucking be the saviour in that. It's not going to fix it.
No.
And like, yeah, that's the whole point of the whole point of this episode is our political parties useless. And I think that they've shown time and time again that they do not actually like improve the lives of working class people.
No.
It just keeps getting worse and worse.
Essentially, yeah. It's like, unless you're apathetic or whatever, sure. I mean, fuck. Are they a waste of time? I suppose it doesn't really make a difference, but it's like if you want to actually have meaningful change, whether you're a fucking MAGA Republican Trumpist, you know what I mean? They were not hoping for minuscule change, regardless of how dumb other parts of what they might have believed were. I think there's a strong urging in a lot of the community for quite a large scale change to how everything operates and that, you know what I mean? And I think if that's what you're after, the political parties are completely a waste of time.
Yeah, well, I haven't seen. I don't think there has been many. I don't think there has been a society where I've been like, oh, they're great revolution and how they changed something and it was voted in Parliament and some politician changed it.
Yeah.
I don't think that's ever really been the case.
Not really, no. I mean, you hear things like people have been elected, like you say, like Chile or whatever, they had that it's sort of socialist guy, you know what I mean? He was trying to, I don't fucking know that much about what he did, but he just ended up getting assassinated. You know what I mean? It's like, and that's because America is the forefront of this economic thing. They're gonna, someone like Chile's on the side, they don't give a fuck.
Yeah, they don't have actual sway in how shit runs globally.
Yeah, we need quite a larger scale change than just some random president, you know, like that. We need a whole, I believe, a whole economic mode of production. How we organise production of goods has to be organised in a way that basically doesn't leave the person who owns the businesses or whatever as the ones that control the whole legal system.
And just one more thing is that, like, even if there was that person you could vote for that would change everything, he would not be picked up by a political party that can run, because every party in existence, like, their main priority is to preserve themselves, is to make sure that they stay in power as long as they can. They have the most power, they can keep making money, they can they want to preserve their position.
Yeah.
So they're never going to elect someone that would raise the position of other people, that could potentially challenge their position.
Yeah, no, definitely not.
So that working
there.
class hero, I don't think, like, they might exist, but I don't think they're getting elected in.
No.
Because of how the system is structured.
And they won't get airtime, I don't believe, as well.
No.
Yeah, anyway, we'll wrap it up there.
Yep.
You want to do it? You're better at that.
Yeah, like and subscribe. Follow us on Twitter or TikTok. I prefer the views here. But yeah, like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. And join us next time. Thank you.
That's it.
Bye.